Hi there again, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Gary Neville Podcast. We're talking here. It wasn't a disappointing game. We're at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea 0, Manchester United 0. It wasn't disappointing in terms of the intent and the desire from both teams to try and win the game for certainly long periods of the game. And I think Chelsea right to the very end. But we are seeing a lot of games, Gary, aren't we, which sort of come up a little bit short, and particularly the big games, and quite a few of them involving Manchester United.
We are, and part of me enjoyed that game, actually, because I think it was a little bit like a game that the coaches would like. I think when they analyse it back, there'll be a lot of things that both managers saw in those performances that they'll have liked in terms of the patterns of play, the way in which they dealt with the attacking threat of the opposition. You know, you think about the amount of work that goes into a preparation for a game like this. They'll be disappointed with the final part. But you're right, for Manchester United, that's City pre-Christmas, Liverpool, Arsenal, now Chelsea. Accusations of not really having that belief and conviction. That's come from me in the last few weeks, the idea that they don't really believe they can go and win the big games against City or against Liverpool. But I should be disappointed if I'm setting myself sort of the standard of where Manchester United need to get to as a club, and they're winning the Premier League titles, and sort of the standards that were set in the day that I played. I would be sort of a little bit disappointed today, but I'm actually not, because I do believe this team's on a journey. And there were things I saw today actually in that performance. I thought that the back four were a lot more aggressive in their performance. The most aggressive I've seen that back four in a big game. And I've been critical of them. But today they pushed themselves out of the comfort zone. I thought the way in which Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw released themselves from their full-back positions to go and confront high up the pitch meant that Lindelof and Maguire had to work harder. They had to push further up. So there were big positives, particularly in the first half, around that. But then it just didn't materialise. They pressed high up the pitch as well, the front four. But the lack of quality in the final third. For Chelsea under Tuchel, I mean, we know that they're in transition as well. They're not a title-winning team. Neither of these teams are. And we didn't expect them to be at the start of the season. So I think both managers will look at this game in their respective with their respective analysts and say, I didn't mind large parts of that game. Doesn't help us for Sky Sports or the fans at home, maybe. But
is it a consequence of no fans in the ground that it can be played a bit more for the coaches, if you like, because obviously there's no one else here to see it?
Yeah, I think that was a coach's game. I can say I think there'll be large parts of the post-match analysis that they'll do with their players tomorrow that will say, you know, well done in large parts. And then they'll look at the big moments in the game, the sort of final pass of McTominay there, say, or the not getting across the back post for the Reece James free kick. Moments like that, they'll say more conviction, more determination. Giroud, when he had the header at that over there. You know, there's been moments in the game where goals could have occurred. And I think that the coaches will say that in their respective meetings with the players. But I think they'll also say there are a lot of very good things. Well done to you all. I think they'll be a little... I can hear them now. I can hear Tuchel and Solskjaer in the dressing room saying, look, you know, well done, lads, at the end. You know, disappointed we didn't get the win, but... and that won't help, and, you know, the fans at home...
Lots of positives. That's the cliche, isn't it?
It is. No, but I think they will, and they say that after the match. But actually, I can see why they would say that during this match. You know, I enjoyed parts of this game. I thought the quality and the crispness of the passing was good. I thought Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United was below where he's been in terms of he normally delivers that moment for them. Chelsea... didn't really test Maguire and Lindelof as much as, you know, I think Tuchel would have liked. And particularly, I think with Giroud up front, maybe it suited them a little bit that they could push up the pitch. But I'm not wholly disappointed with the game. Disappointed again, we've seen a 0-0. We know, but I think this is a reflection of where these two teams are at in their pursuit of getting to the top again. And both these teams have been at the top in the last 20 years. They know how to win a title, these clubs. Manchester United, not for some years now. But I think that, you know, they're both not there. But I think it's better than it was a year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I put to you the question that was put in the studio, which I thought was an intriguing one, a difficult one to answer. Which of the two clubs is nearer to becoming champions again?
I think United are nearer. I do. I think Chelsea have got some work to do on the defence, and I think that there's some maturity in their players in attack. Havertz, Werner, Pulisic, Ziyech. You know, I can't really see at this moment in time. I think there's outstanding talents there, but they've all got to merge. I think Rashford's probably a little bit further ahead in his development. I think Cavani, Pogba, Fernandes. So I'd say that United are just a touch further ahead, it feels like. And they are in the league anyway. They're 6 points in front. So that's suggested by the league table. But it won't take much from Chelsea's point of view to get there. You know, it's whoever recruits better in the summer and which players develop more and which managers can get the best out of the players. But I'd say that for United this season to finish second would be a huge advance on last season. For Chelsea to get into the top four, for Tuchel, I think would be very good. And then they've both got to try and win another trophy if they can.
Just reflection again on something that happened now a couple of hours away from us, but it was quite early in the game. But it was a key moment, and it was an interesting one in that a referee, Stuart Atwell, was attracted to by VAR to revisit a situation where he hadn't seen as a penalty. Obviously, the word in his ear was from Chris Kavanagh, who was the VAR man. You should look at this. He looked at it and said no penalty. We
have these screens, don't we? We have this VAR one here, and just out of the corner, I wasn't interested in it. You know, and all of a sudden I could hear Kavanagh's voice say, I'm going to have a look at this, Stuart. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, you know, you see sort of Hudson-Odoi's arm appear up high in that unnatural position and touch the ball and push it away. And I think the conclusion that I've come to is that if that was Mason Greenwood, if he touches it away and gains an advantage from it, it definitely would have been a foul. I think it's a penalty. Based on the current rules in the game, I think I took what the Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank said at half-time around the fact that we wouldn't like to see these given as a penalty. But in the modern day now, I'm surprised that wasn't given as a penalty. And Stockley Park thought it was a penalty to stop the game and obviously send Stuart Atwell over to the monitor. And we're seeing now referees, to be fair, not going along with what Stockley Park think, which is good. We want that. But I thought it was because Hudson-Odoi's arm is up here. And this idea that you argue, well, so was Mason Greenwood's. Mason Greenwood's hand didn't touch the ball. It's irrelevant. It's like two players going for the ball in the box with their feet, and one player gets there, nicks it away, and the other one's late and takes the leg, the defender, and it's a penalty. It's the same with the hand. If you think of those hands being legs, and Hudson-Odoi Mason Greenwood just pokes it away and Hudson-Odoi comes in there, you know, he's going for the ball, but it's a penalty. I don't see why that's not a penalty. I think that 2 or 3 months ago, it's a certain penalty. Today, they're trying to relax the handball rules. They're changing it as the season goes on. I think we've asked for that, to be fair. So let's be clear. There were some stupid ones where, you know, I was smashing the ball across and it was hitting your arm here and it was a penalty. It's like, what's that? That's not a penalty.
And the Eric Dyer one with the arm out, the ball had come from behind and hit his arm and he couldn't see.
Yeah, but we always accept if your arm's above your head, if your arm's here, if your hand's here and you touch the ball, you're struggling. And Hudson-Odoi, I think, was very, very lucky. I think that it was a penalty.
Just on Manchester, before we leave the game, we're going to talk about 2 20-game runs, and we'll come to the Manchester City one, 20 wins in a row. But to go 20 away games in the Premier League, which started here when they won 2-0 last February, and they carried it on now to 20. It's something we should mention, isn't it?
What you'd have to say, Martin, is that over the last 12 months, Manchester United have put an incredible run of results together. Their points tally's been big year to year. Their away form, as you say, is outstanding, and that takes some resilience. To go 20 games unbeaten away from home, it takes some. And I come back to sort of my time at Manchester United. If I came to Stamford Bridge and we kept a clean sheet and we came away with a point, we quite often lost to Chelsea at Old Trafford, let alone at Stamford Bridge. We had a poor record against them. You always want to win every single game, but this is a tough place to play. So those Manchester United players going back on that bus tonight that can say that they've taken part in those 20 matches away from home, that they do deserve great congratulations for that. You know, there'll be some criticism tonight from United fans saying, why didn't we go and win it? Why weren't we more positive? Why weren't we this? And, you know, rightly so. United should always strive to do that. But to actually go 20 games away from home it needs applauding, because it's hard to do that. You know, you say about resilience and character. You know, what do you demonstrate of teams that are good and got good character and personality? They're good away from home. They're good on set pieces. You know, they look like they want to play with each other, and that's why I think this Manchester United team is better suited than the one 2 or 3 years ago under Jose Mourinho that finished second. Because I actually feel there's a better spirit. I think they've got a far better chance of winning the league in the next 2 or 3 years than they were under sort of, Jose a couple of years ago. I thought it was a strange bunch of lads. It just didn't seem to like each other. They didn't really appeal to me as a fan. I think they're going in the right direction. Whether they get there or not's another matter. We'll know in the future. But they're certainly going in the right direction.
Well, certainly going in the direction of Manchester City. 20 wins in a row in all competitions, 14 in the Premier League. It is staggering, and they were pushed, weren't they, by West Ham, who gave a good account of themselves, and you can see why they're still in the top four, actually, after the result here.
Yeah, we were here, weren't we, when it all changed. And the quality of the football that Pep Guardiola played in those first 2 title-winning seasons was outstanding. It was on top of the world, and there's a big dip last season, but we're just seeing now, since we left Stamford Bridge a few months ago now and saw that 30 minutes of outstanding play in the first half. De Bruyne was a sort of like false centre forward, and they played without him for much of the last month or so. The quality of the play is outstanding. The sustaining of attacks, the quality of the defending, the shape, everything's really good.
And getting goals from their defenders in this game. Ruben Dias is first, and then John Stones, who started to, he's questioned himself about lack of goals. A lot of, Steve Bruce was the great one, wasn't he? Who scored, I think, 20 goals in one season for Manchester United. But John Stones has upped his approach to that, and it's reflecting also in the way he's playing generally, that he's more confident in doing that. It was a great finish to win the game.
More confident, scoring more goals and giving less away is the most important thing for John Stones. Consistency. John Stones needs 2 or 3 seasons of this to really sort of take away those thoughts that we've previously had, which is that he's inconsistent, he's lacks concentration and focus at big moments. But what we're seeing now is a sustained run of games where he's playing at the highest level in a great team, and he's not being hid in that team. He's not as if he's got sort of, that back four. If you said Cancelo, Zinchenko, Stones and Diaz at the start of the season, I'd have said that'll concede goals. It's not. So they all deserve great credit. Cancelo's I love Cancelo. Having worked with him at Valencia, I always have. Stones, working with him with England, saw a great talent, but then you just thought about the concentration and that sort of focus during big moments in games for 93, 94 minutes, not just 89 or 90. Diaz is a sensational defender. He's a brilliant player. Laporte, who I think, I played 3 times against him when I was in Spain. First saw him when he played for Athletic Bilbao and thought, what a player he is. I think he was only maybe 20 at the time, and we played 2 Europa League games and a league game against him, and he stood out then. So when City got him, I was like, he's a player. So they've got brilliant young defenders who are brave in terms of the pushing up the pitch, brave in taking the ball. They've got good midfield players, but he's developed a team. You think about Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, and he built great teams over 3 or 4 year periods, and then he changed it, and it seemed to be another great team seemed to appear. And I think Pep, you think about the end of that Company era, Company, Aguero, Silva, that sort of period in Manchester City's history is coming to an end. And within a year, it's taken him a year, Company leaving, we said Vincent Kompany, they've not replaced him, but it would seem now that he's building that sort of next team. Even though there's a few players still from sort of the old one, which is what happened at United, it looks to me like now that, you see Diaz coming, Cancelo, Zinchenko, you've got...
Foden's a few years older, yeah.
Foden's coming now, so you just think, Gundogan's a different player. He's emerged. Mahrez is now a player that 2 years ago was part of that older team, but now he's a different player in this new team. So what you've seen is a transition to almost like a new team again, which is what Pep Guardiola needs to do in his career.
They're
I think
hungry again.
They're hungry. They're hungry. The football's really good, and Pep Guardiola's building what would be a second wave of a Manchester City team in some ways.
We didn't see too much of it because obviously we're focusing on this game, but Gareth Bale has come back today with 2 goals and an assist, and looking like maybe he's making a step forward to regain his hunger as well, and obviously that will be to Tottenham's benefit over what's left of the season.
Well, he needs to. I said on Monday Night Football 2 or 3 weeks ago that it's annoyed me a little bit, him sort of sat there on the bench smiling and smirking and looking too relaxed when the team... he's not been going on the pitch. He should be really. As a player as great as him, who's achieved what he's achieved, not just at Tottenham, but at Real Madrid, I don't get the feeling that he's been banging on the manager's door. I don't think it's probably his style, so, that's not... But when I say banging on the manager's door, it's not necessarily going having an argument with the manager. It's more
saying,
like...
play me.
Yeah, come on. And looking like there's a real intent to come on the pitch. He's been warming up, looking... the players who are warming up. I think Cavani, when he was warming up earlier on in the season for United and he wasn't playing, I got the feeling that he was like 5 minutes away from going sort of, grabbing Ollie by the scruff of the neck and saying, get me on that pitch. Whereas with different characters, I know Gareth Bale is, I just felt that it was a bit too nice, a bit too easy for him just to sit there and watch and just let his football career drift on. No, he should be going on that pitch this last month or two. He's got the experience, he's got the quality. Tottenham are under pressure, the team has struggled a little bit. I'm here, get me on there now. I'll stop this rot. Kane missed a few games. I'm the one who'll stand up and deliver. And I think that now he looks like he started to do that in the last week or so. But it's been needed. It's been needed because I think for 6 months it's looked like he's probably being a little bit too critical, saying it looked like he's been on holiday. But I've not seen that desperation, that determination in him to come on and really look like, right,
Maybe
come on.
Maybe he's just trusting his body again.
Maybe, look, different players are in different moments. It's a difficult, you see this ground empty today. We know every ground's empty, and that sort of urge of, the fans is not there. But still, every other player's coping with it. And, we've seen, Tottenham's players play lots of football in the last 6 months. Every single sort of midweek, every single weekend. They've all been slugging it out, these games. And at times it's been difficult. And I just haven't felt that he's been part of that, what would be that, that drive to sort of get them going again. But like I say, he's a brilliant player, and I think it's time now that obviously he does deliver. Tottenham need a strong finish to the season, and he can be part of that.
Last subject, we look as though we're going to get a fight at the relegation side of the Premier League table. Brighton have had 2 very bad results back-to-back. Newcastle were 1-0 up at home and didn't get the 3 points.
Yeah.
And obviously Fulham got another point today away at Crystal Palace, and are looking to many experts' eyes as a team that's capable of getting out of it. West Brom have got the Sam Allardyce strategy, and they got a win in the strange circumstances against Brighton. Burnley have been heavily beaten by Tottenham. It is getting closer, isn't it? When it looked like the bottom 3 were cut adrift, and that was the end of it. It
looked dead. 2 weeks ago, I think it was, on Monday Night Football, and we said they're so far away. It would have to be a real mess up from the teams, really, sort of in sort of fourth and bottom up. But then you just looked at sort of Fulham's form, and you looked at Brighton not winning and Newcastle not winning, and you think they could get dragged back. I never thought for 1 second, still don't think West Brom. I mean, that would be the miracle if Sam Allardyce could get West Brom from where they are out of this
Brian
mess.
Robson's miracle.
This would be a miracle. I mean, really, not just because of the fact they're so far behind, but because of that quality of the team and the quality of the football. Although I watched them a couple of weeks ago, they were better against Manchester United. There's no doubt they're better. So there is something there that's picking up, but you just think they're so far adrift. And the other team, Fulham looking in better form. Brighton is still playing decent football. Newcastle have just got something about them. But the worry for Newcastle is the injuries. I saw this morning, was it Maximan and Almiron may be injured as well. So that would cause a problem. But yeah, I think we have got a big top 4 fight, and I think we've got a big relegation fight. I think the title probably looks like it's gone to City, but you're right, down there at the bottom, it's just getting just a little bit closer. And if West Brom could put 1 or 2 more wins on the board in the next week or 2, and Fulham could put 1 or 2 more wins on the board, it really would get interesting. There'd be some big panic down there.
No panic here.
No panic. Oh, Martin, the heated gilet, by the way. Oh, the heated gilet. And by the way, I've 5 hours yesterday to Southend for a 0-0. Back into 2 hours to London. An hour here today to Stamford Bridge and another 0-0. I thought I was going to have a weekend break of glorious football, but it's not quite turned out to be that way. And the heated gilet. By the way, I'm not promoting these things. I'm not sponsored by them, but what a fantastic addition to the wardrobe. Buy one. Hey, 40 quid, not that bad either, by the way. Not big money.
When you get to my age, the body does it itself,
You're hot enough.
Well, let's hope we have some goals to see at Crystal Palace on Wednesday anyway.
Yeah, that'll be good. Crystal Palace Wednesday and the Manchester Derby next Sunday.
Yes.
So hopefully it'll be a good week.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.